So I am here in the DC booth with Collin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, and we are talking Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic. So how is con going so far, guys? I saw you were signing just downstairs, so how's it been so far?
It's been amazing. We love San Diego Comic-Con. This is our 18th show. We've been coming here since we were teenagers. I sold my first comic here. This show is a very has a rich history for both of us. Yep. So it's been really lovely to come back and to announce a book and showcase Neo-Gothic and all of that. It's been incredible.
Yeah, to have our own booth finally, to be able to kind of sell our books hand to hand to fans, but also to be going from DC to the other companies, and having kind of books that are popping off everywhere has been just pretty incredible. Yeah. Especially this one, which is very much about comics. A San Diego Comic-Con about
I know.
comics.
For once, they didn't flood us with video games and movies and stuff. It's actually kind of cool.
So after you guys were on for the Gotham panel, it was Jim Lee who was up next, who was doing his drawing panel, and he did the same thing. He was saying it's a Comic-Con about comics.
Yeah,
and
it's lovely.
I'm totally stoked about that.
Yeah, me too.
Give me all of that. So Neo-Gothic, #1, dropping next week.
Yep, we're almost there.
Yeah, we are. I read it on the flight over.
Oh, brilliant.
I am. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm gonna try and keep the.
I understand. We'll spoil it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. You can do that. I will feel bad if I do that.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. What can you tell us about this book and where we're kind of picking up with Terry now that we've moved on from Neo-Gotham?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is picking up sometime later, not that long, but what we're doing, if Neo-Gothic was about looking upwards...
Neo-Year.
If Neo-Year was about looking upwards into the sky, Neo-Gothic very much is about looking down below. We've always seen Neo-Gotham as this kind of city of monoliths, right? Like we've seen the kind of the hover cars and the skyways, but very rarely, if ever, have we really seen what is down there at the base streets. And that was the kind of fundamental question that we started with, like, what does it actually look like down there? What happens when all the dregs of this society start tumbling down, and what catches them?
And that connected really nicely with where Terry was at as a character, which is the other place we always start when we come up with a book, is what can we do to take the character on an arc that feels transformative and useful, right? So obviously in Neo-Year, that's going from being effectively Batman's apprentice and Batman's revenger to being Batman, to being Batman, to being in his own way, to being what Terry sees as Batman, which is as more of a community project and as more of a figurehead. He's not a solo man standing alone in the darkness. He's a man with a community who inspires other people, who inspires a city. And so now it was a great, how do you test that guy? Yeah. How do you test that version of Batman? And for us, that connected very beautifully to the idea of going down into the darkness, because that's the thing that Batman can do that no one else can. Look into the very face of horror and still be a hero. That was Bruce's power. I don't know if that's what Terry can do. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see what happens when Terry goes into that gothic darkness, when he goes into that place that doesn't forgive him, that he goes into a place that is extremely unshui, right?
So unshui.
Where there's no technology to rely on and there's no other people. It's just him and the darkness. And let's see what that brings out in him. And so Neo-Gothic is all about basically it's almost like a Dante's Inferno, right? Every issue we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the layers underneath Gotham to get to the evil that sits at its heart.
Ooh. See, I'm getting chills now.
Hell yeah. Us too, that's why we wrote it.
And obviously so many fans will know Terry from the cartoons, and you made a very good point on the panel earlier where you said, a lot of the comics up to kind of Neo-Gotham had tried to continue that or really live in the world of that animated series.
Makes total sense.
It does, but then I feel like what you guys have done with the character is really break him out of that, and part of that is obviously aging him up a little bit. But can you just talk a bit about the kind of, I guess, if there's any pressure that comes with that, or how you went about just bringing him out of that and making him feel less like a cartoon character? I'm going to say more like a real person, but that's maybe a bit strange.
But it's exactly I understand that. Well, that makes it kind of sound like the animated series was infantilizing him, which it wasn't, right, or any of that. Like, I don't want to speak ill of the other comics.
No.
What I think is where it really comes from us, I think, is actually the opposite. I think it relieved some pressure on us to not have to do the animated series. Yes. We aren't Bruce Timm. Yes. We have a different take on this character, and generally where Collin and I come from, because we're, as like a hive mind writing duo, because we do everything together and have since we were teenagers, right? Part of the premise of any book we do is it has to come out of a conversation where the two of us both love it. Yeah. And we both find something that's deeply interesting to both of our artistic sensibilities. For Terry, just doing Batman Beyond, we probably would have argued for days just about what part of Batman Beyond are we going to play with? Which character? Are we going to do a Blight story? Are we going to do an Ink story? Yes. How are we going to get Spellbind or whatever? And for us, it was actually really important for us to say, okay, none of that. Yep. new characters, new moments, new threat. And once we came across the Living Gotham, which was our sort of our villain in Neo Year, the sentient living Gotham City sort of Y2K take, once we figured that out, and we knew that we had that, then it really gave us permission to say, okay, this isn't us trying to do a cover version of the animated series.
Yeah.
It lets it be a hive mind book. It lets it be a book that we get to build, and then if people love it or hate it, they love it or hate it on its own merits, not because it is doing the comic or doing the animated series or not.
But what we will say is, and we were just having this discussion, was very interesting. DC fans are excited for new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can read 1,000 Batman stories because every one is going to be a new take on that character.
Yeah.
Bringing that energy to it and showing a new light to it. So we found the reception to Batman Beyond being wonderful.
Yeah.
Because people are like, this doesn't invalidate the animated series or the other series that we love.
Not at all. Hopefully it enhances it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we found the fans really responding well.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful place to tell stories.
I think you could see that in the room earlier today as well. When you guys were kind of thanking the fans for the fact that we're back with another series. It's because people went out and they read it and they enjoyed it and they loved it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Neo Year only happened because they asked us to do 30 pages of Batman Beyond in Batman Urban Legends number 5 or something. 7, yeah. And we turned in this pitch that was like, Bruce dies on page 1. Here's going to be and he deals with Living Gotham, and then Terry understands Living Gotham and ultimately has to make the very Batman choice of letting it live.
Yeah.
And we said, and then it could be a series, but like that's the story. And our editor called us up and said, okay, well, you guys just got yourself 6 issues of a book because that's an amazing kickoff. So now you have a 7-issue series rather than this like one-off shot. And that's because there just was a hunger at DC to do something new and to do something different and to have the fans show up and back that play at every level has just been super gratifying. We're very thankful.
I had to, in my mind, it took me a while to figure it out, but it's 25 years since we first met Terry as well.
Yeah.
That's
that time he grew up a little bit, right?
Yeah, he definitely did grow up a little bit in that time.
But so did all of us. Right?
Well, yeah, exactly. We've been through some stuff in the last 25 years.
Exactly.
But he's become so enduring as a character, and often you see other characters might take over as Batman for a little while. They'll be there for a few issues, then they'll drop away, or they will replace. And yet with Terry, this character is stuck around and will stick around for another 25 more years.
I think so.
What do you think it is about the character that people have kind of connected with so much?
So for me, I can only speak for what connects me to Terry, but I think one of the things I love about him is that he is Bruce Wayne is a guy who was given everything.
Yes.
And who took all of that and understanding that privilege was something that he could misuse, turned it into something that he could use for the betterment of Gotham and also to quell his personal demons. That's a very relatable story for somebody who comes up rich or who comes up with a legacy or comes up with a family name or comes up with any of that stuff or comes up with tragedy in their past. Terry McGinnis is a poor kid trying to do his best in a world that is mean and harsh. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He doesn't have a lot of community around him. He has a stint in juvie. He has a spotted past. He's kind of a risk taker.
He's kind of a screw up.
He's kind of a screw up. And as a character, I think the idea that after all his whole life, Bruce Wayne finds that kid and sees in him the potential not to be the Batman that Bruce made, but to be a new kind of Batman, to be a Batman who's able to actually step further than Bruce ever was, even though he's such a diamond in the rough, right? It's like that Aladdin thing. Yeah. I just think is so powerful. I think it's the best kind of self-insert where it allows the audience to imagine, how could I become Batman?
Yes. Yeah.
And that part of it, like, you can relate to Terry in a way that you cannot relate to Bruce. Raphael Grempa, who was on the thing, right? So Gargoyle of Gotham, his new Batman thing, which I don't need to promote that. It's going to be amazing. But the reason I bring it up is his inciting incident is, what if Batman killed off Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
Because Bruce Wayne is essentially vestigial to Batman, which I agree with. Terry McGinnis is not vestigial to Batman. Yeah. Terry McGinnis is important to Terry McGinnis. And in fact, that's the premise of Neo-Gothic, is what does it mean now that Batman has taken over Terry McGinnis' life a little bit? Sorry, that was me talking about Terry McGinnis a lot. You should give your answer. I apologize.
I like him because he's angry. Yeah. No, I mean, genuinely everything that Jack said. But I do think it's cool because he's not a genius like Tim Drake, right? He's not the super suavest person like Dick Grayson. You know, he's got a lot more Jason Todd in him, who is the best Robin. But I mean, that's
We'll
the
fight
thing.
later.
It's like he's angry. He's a troubled kid, and he lives this life that we can all get excited about. But the truth of the matter is, with enough focus and dedication, any of us could be Batman.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's also funny.
He's also funny.
He's
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
funny. It's a fun thing when you're writing him, because you have to remember that the thing you have to do, unlike a Batman book, like a normal Batman book, is this Batman has to quip. He doesn't have to quip a lot, but he does have to quip if he's gonna be Terry. And it's like, it's important. It's a weird part of him.
yeah. Okay, that is it for our time. So thank you guys so much. Best of luck with the book. I can't wait for people to read it when it is out next week.
Thank you so
week.
much.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?